Bridging Skill Gaps, Strategies for Effective Learning and Development. I introduce our speaker, Mr. Suvendu Dhar, Chief Business Officer at TimesPro. Mr. Dhar is a seasoned management professional with over 20 years of experience in leading brands in education and consumer businesses. He specializes in driving business transformation, P&L management, creating new businesses, and scaling operations. With a huge round of applause, we welcome Mr. Suvendu Dhar. Over to you, sir.
So good morning, everyone. Before I start off the session, we are all amidst the AOP sessions, specifically the business teams which you talk to. Everybody will say that this is a part of the year when they are really kind of closing up the last year, whatever has been done, and plus also planning for the next year. So one of the things that we did at TimesPro, which I thought is a good point to start the conversation, is we did an extensive employer survey. And this is an employer survey which was done by Times Group, which is TimesPro. And what I thought would be pertinent for all of you, since you are also in a planning stage, to really see what are some of the inputs or what are some of the things which are coming across from employers. So I will first part, I'll just talk about what is the Times employer survey. This is something which can really be kind of some of the talking points that you can take in terms of your planning. Plus also we'll talk about some of the threadbares which is coming across specifically for learning and development fraternity. So this is one which is doing. So before starting off, I will just briefly introduce. So my name is Suvendu. I am the Chief Business Officer for TimesPro Enterprise Vertical. Possibly a lot of people talked about COVID and how it really transformed online learning and how it has been important. But what we are now observing in the market, and this is also conversations that we did with key stakeholders in the organizations about what are the learning and development challenges, which is throwing in the challenges now is even bigger than what used to be happening or what was there during the COVID, because therein people were completely, all of you are aware that they had, in terms of work from home, offered that luxury to really go through their upskilling and learning. But now is a time wherein economy is doing really, really well. We talk across industries. Plus people, specifically the business leaders, have a challenge with respect to putting their guys into non-productive, so as to say, in terms of training and upskilling, which is a challenge which is there. So with that background and genesis of this survey was also our conversation with almost 200 plus organizations that we are working with, wherein a lot of times these learning and development specialists, when they were really kind of designing anything specific, one thing which was very, very clear in their minds is whatever they want to really kind of build around in terms of the intervention, the impact is something which is a key part. So with that framework in mind and what are some of the new age things which can be incorporated, we did this survey. So I'll just jump right away on the survey. So we talk about the background of the survey. So what we did is we thought there are 4 critical data points that we just wanted to really keep it as an objective for our survey. First is one area which is very, very clear is with respect to the skill gap. So that's something which we definitely wanted to see which are the areas on which maximum impact will happen if the gaps are getting addressed. That was one which is there. Second is a tool that we use at TimesPro, which is with respect to talent evaluation matrix. Now this is a wonderful tool because everybody says that my organization, the capability index is X, Y, or Z. But what we do at TimesPro specifically is whenever we are evaluating, whenever we are starting a journey for any organization, we do this indicator which not only benchmarks your individual employees with the rest of the employee, but it also talks about the industry yardsticks and the data points. So that's the second part, which is an evaluation of the talent capability index for the organization. Third is area that we thought which is important, which are the bigger areas of improvement. And fourth, specifically when we talk about these cohort of organization that we spoke to, how are they mitigating those gaps or learning and development challenges. So these are 4 objectives which were there in the survey. Good part, you can see the enormity of the survey. So this is a survey which was done over a period of, first phase is over. We've done it for almost 2 months. This was a mix of an online plus in-person conversation. And when we talk about in-person conversation, these are people not necessarily only in the learning and development framework, but also people who have worked, who are either in the business roles, people who get maximum impacted if their people really get upskilled. So this is the flavor on which we are talking about the survey, which is there, which is the data collection, which happened for 2 months. We tried to cover all across industry, specifically all across, but our focus has been around technology, banking, finance, hospitality, retail. And in retail, we club FMCG, consumer durable, and all brick and mortar store, including the auto space in this. Then this is broadly the coverage that we talked about. Next is an element that was there, which is specifically, if you look through any organization and it all varies in the sense, in our scheme of things, what we really believe in, or what are the target audiences for us, is the large organization with a spread of 500 plus organization, which is where we looked at the growth or the roles which requires the maximum kind of a transformation in the learning and development space. So this is something which came across, which is with respect to sales, development, technology, and operation. While the numbers could even be percentage could be higher for marketing, but the delta is smaller. But what we really feel as an organizational impact story per se, the three functions which are key here is something which really talks about the transformation bed. So this is on the roles. Now, specifically what is happening now, and especially, and I can give you some reference point and challenges, what is happening now. When an organization is growing exponentially, retail head and the retail training head, the challenges which were there for the training head per se was the people which they need to really kind of onboard. So they are currently sitting on a delta of X number of people who are front-ending, both in sales development as well as even the brick and mortar stores and all. So the number of people they need to really onboard is almost doubling of what is happening. Almost double of the workforce is what they require versus what is currently there, because the expansion and the economy is doing well and the industry is doing well. But the challenge on the ground for a retail training lead per se is every conversation that he has with the business head and every conversation that he does with the retail head, the challenges thrown to the learning and development folks is, why is it that in our audits, in our market visits, people are not able to really talk about elements around value sale? What is the customer experience journey not getting improved in, let's say, Tanish certain stores? How do we really put a standardized element? And we see that this is, for example, give you a flavor for people to really see. So they follow something called a Titan way of life. So this is a formatted approach which has been designed, but when they are really evaluating out of the entire audience of people who are kind of going through this journey, how many of these really adhere to those standards? Now the challenge for a learning and development retail lead is, since you need exponentially large number of people, quality goes in for a toss. Because your business and the retail team and the guys are on heads, obviously, in terms of the challenge is to really quickly enroll people and to really put them onto the brick and mortar stores and likewise. So when you do something like this, the challenge which comes on board is you're not actually evaluating the quality which is coming on board. So if your raw material, especially learning and development, as a leader specialist, you will understand that if your raw material is not that quality, what impact will training make to them? So that's the kind of a challenge which is what is happening. Like this is like a brick and mortar one example that we talked about. Likewise, when we speak with the technology stack organizations and all, I'll give you another example to just give you some data points. So there's this a global capability center based out of Bangalore. And I'm not intentionally naming them. They have a workforce of close to around 12,000 people. They have a plan to really take it up to around 18,000. And the challenge for them is, while they are operating in 7 cities, the business plan is to really go across and spread themselves into 10 plus locations. And especially when you look outside of the domains or metro zones, and when you look at outside cities like Jaipur, where a lot of these GCCs are setting up places, the quality of input which you really get on those places is a huge challenge for learning and development fraternity. Which is where, even in this survey, these are some of the things which are really come across, wherein what are those challenges, how can they kind of address those challenges, something which is very, very standard for all. Next is a slide that is talking about, so these are basically, now the biggest problem, another biggest problem which is there, and I'll give you an example of another organization to give you a flavor. And we can talk about an organization, let's say another IT firm, IT giant. This organization, the challenge for them specifically is, as a learning and development function, there is a limitation to the kind of budgets you get allocated every year. So you'll not be able to cover 100% of your people. So even if you know that the IT skills are really going through complete changeover, but the number of people that you can put through some kind of a learning intervention wherein the organization is paying, you will not be able to cover 100% of the population. How do you address those kind of a challenges which is there? Because predominantly conventional time, everything was done internally, which is, if you talk about 80% of your intervention would be something you define your organizational industry leader who will take some of the sessions. There are some SMEs who could take sessions. But now with the enormity of problem at hand, how do you really kind of address is a challenge which is there, and how organizations are evaluating. I can possibly talk about some of these, the use cases that we will have in the subsequent slide. But the flavor of this slide is, while design per se, lot of these conventional part was done internally, but the challenge way forward is how do you really address it? Because undoubtedly when you really nominate somebody as an industry leader or somebody from your own business head or one of the vertical heads to take some of these initiatives, their bandwidth and time around this piece is also a challenge. So this is something which is there. Current context, yes, 73, 74%. Plus, if you talk about this, these are some of the things which are there. So this is undoubtedly biggest. And why we have put a new hire out in the first part is, especially organizations which are really scaling up, organizations which are onboarding new people, organizations wherein the attrition percentages are very high. So in those organizations, the challenge is how do you really ensure that the new hires which are onboarded, how do you really break down their break-even period so they become productive earlier. Then we're talking about creating engaging content for the training program, and I think the panelists before me really spoke about nice interactive options which are available even on technology space. Then we talked about certain identified specific skills and knowledge gap which is there, and across access to the right training partner. So these are some of the challenges which is what is coming across. So if we talk about sum up all of these things, I think there are 4 specific skills which are very critical for all at the times that we are talking about. We're talking about leadership skill, digital, soft skill, and the hard skill. Now, if you have to really rate yourself high, and I'll talk about elements to really give you a perspective around this. What we have seen in our experience and what we have seen in our data points per se, what was happening if you really talk about 7 years back and difference between earlier and now, progressive organizations are also spending a lot of money in first-time manager program and a mid-level leadership development. Earlier, what used to happen is, specifically when we talk about impacting leaders' life, which is a mission for organization like us, it was only restricted to only a N and N-1. But now what we in our experiences, what we are really seeing is organization right at the time when the budgeting and the AOP plans are getting formulated, they are very clear that if you really want to build a succession planning element, you really want to really impact the organization to the middle of the pyramid is very important. While the number of leaders will be very high in the middle of the pyramid, but in terms of impact they bring on board is significantly hard. So that's one area that we are seeing in the leadership space. Digital, I think things have completely transformed. That's something which is a no-go. So even in the digital space, what we are now experiencing, and I'm just talking about it, in the digital space, in our experiences, especially in the organization, there are 3 different levels which are now being spoken about. First is a level which we talked about, which is with respect to data strategy. These are people who really need to understand data and take decisions, and these are, I'm talking about the business leader levels. So that's one level which is a very specific, which is a data strategy, wherein they would want to see use cases, they would want to see what is happening in some of the best academic institutions across the globe, which can be put across and truly told them how to really kind of go around it. So on the digital part, first is the data strategies, which is the top of the pie. Second is the people we are using data users. Now, when we say data users, our experiences in the industry now is, while earlier, specifically when we talk about digital transformation, there were sessions which were conducted. Now it's a completely other side. In the sense, they would say that these are 20 people in my HR. You put them through a journey of data academy, make them work on live capstone projects, and at the end of the project, the outcomes have to be clearly defined. How much time have they been able to save? How much money have they been able to save? So this is an execution part which has now become code. Similarly, like an HR, this even for the marketers. When we are doing specifically, when somebody running an online campaign, how really using those data, those elements and tools to really kind of make yourself more efficient, save cost, and also increase your productivity. So that's on the digital part. Third, we talked about super skill, soft skill, which is I think, is very high in demand. That's something which is there. And the hard skill is specifically with respect to the technology part, which is what we. So these are 4 buckets which, as in our experiences, this is coming across. Now, next is a slide which is very important. It's specifically when we talk about employer and employee, specifically with respect to survival tactics. If you really read through it, for example, we spoke about conventional learning and development engines, and now we're talking about changes complete elements which are there. Boosting creativity, innovation, which is again something which is very important, and the other 2 elements which is there. Likewise, for an employee part, this is something which is promoting adaptability and resilience. So I'm saying these are some of the things which is coming out in the survey, and which is what we kind of thought we will share with you. Okay, now I'll just jump right away on TimesPro. But what I'll try to do is, I'll give you a flavor about what we do, and I'll also give you a case study of really to how an organizations have kind of some of the use cases which will be really meaningful for you all to see. So this is like the entire cycle. So what we really take a lot of pride at TimesPro is that the entire end-to-end life cycle management for an employee is something that we do. So we start right from the time that we can help support organizations in recruitment, onboarding, development, deployment, retain, and transition. Now, in this entire journey, for example, specifically when we talk about recruit and onboard, at TimesPro, we are the largest, or we are one of the biggest and the most trusted partner with respect to if you look at the banking financial space. So whether you talk about all large banks and all, we are invariably partnering them to really help fulfill their needs for specifically the supply challenges which are there with respect to manpower. So we help onboard people who are really fit to kind of start journey faster. So that's a role which we do in terms of recruitment. And then we have a development, which is the entire training part and the learning and development, including the transitioning services. So this is broadly the entire cycle that we talked. I'll come to the last slide, which is the last slide. So this is all the solutions that we do. And I'll give you examples on this. And what is the trend that we are seeing in the market? And I think you can all possibly look at what are some of the areas which are there. So first and the foremost piece for us at TimesPro is our executive education. In the executive education, specifically we talk about, and I'm talking more from an Indian, also international, is in IITs and IIM, which are the most prestigious universities that we do, we're partnered with almost 18 and plus a journey of almost 12 plus years. Out here in our conversation with organization, and it's also large organization, which will always have this question, is why would, for a service like going to an IIM doing an MDP of 20 participants, why should we come to you, why not reach out to the organization? Why not reach to the institution and all? So what we say is that 12 years of journey, and every year we are almost kind of 12,000 plus people are passing through our programs. First thing that we really bring on board is with respect to subject matter expertise, not only with respect to academic institution. For example, to give you a flavor, senior management program in IIM Calcutta even might be rated lower than IIM Ahmedabad, but in terms of the quality, in terms of the feedback score, in terms of the impact measurement index, that's higher. Likewise, similarly, when we look at an MDP for any of these institutions, you will not be privy to a lot of the faculties which are scoring higher than lower. So what we do as TimesPro is this is a completely advisory pool. We help organization identify which are the right institutions, what is the value for money, and third is also an area with respect to what are the right faculties to really do. And in this piece, one of the core elements that we talk about is the completion ratios. So if we talk about 12,000 plus people passing out every year, the dropout percentage is not exceeding 3%. So that's one point that we talk about. And last but not the least, organization like TimesPro, and since we're working with large organization, even on financial parts, you don't really lose out going directly versus an organization like us. But what we do is the entire advisory services, plus we custom curate. Like I'll give you another example to really elaborate this point. So for example, one of the large auto giants, so they used to every year send 50 of their participant leaders for this campus program, which will be sent to IIMs and others. So last couple of years, they are doing it with us. And the reason that they are doing it with us, in our discussions with the management there, one of the challenges which they were kind of sensing in their, specifically in their, when they're sending these guys for 2 days or 3 days of campus immersion, it was like in campus life, 3 days being completely captive there and coming out, there's nothing which is for a learning development manager to showcase any impact which is there. Which is where what we said is that we will do a custom curate in MDB program, which is a journey of 6 months. There will be element of campus, which could be 3 day, 1 day. But alongside this, we have incorporated all other elements that you would want to have it in. So there's a capstone project, there's an assessment which is clearly built up. There is something to do with an industry immersive session, which is on by an industry leader. There are elements of coaching which is built in. So this is like a journey which has been done, which really kind of brings our value on the table. So it's not a campus, but it's a complete custom curated MDP program. Second, on the executive education part, the second property which is happening now, I'll give you another example of a global capability center. This is again based out of Bangalore. One of the things which they are really challenged on is with respect to attrition. Plus, if they really look through their entire internal audience, 30% of the people are MBAs. Rest of the people have joined in after engineering or other programs. And they have this urge to really kind of do some kind of a long-term program. So the partnership that we have done with them is very, very clearly, and I'm giving you this, not naming the organization, but what they wanted is, these are people which are there with us. Can you do something which is a very, very customized MBA program for them? And this is an organization which is basically as a financial center. So they were looking at something which is very specific on AI and specific on something which is to do with investment banking, stock broking, and other elements which are important to this. So what we created for them is a completely customized MBA program from a university. And now the advantage these guys are getting, an organization is getting, when they are really signing up these employees, there is also a retention clause added to them. So if there's an attrition was a challenge and upskilling was a challenge, so what they are trying to do is a 2 years kind of partnership which is done on executive education, which is the second part, which is a long-term kind of a program which could be graduation, which could be masters, and it could also be specialized program. For example, there's a program called CQF, which is Certificate in Quantum Finance. Especially when you really talk about investment brokers and others, this is one of the most sought after portfolio, especially in the space of quantum physics and quantum. And especially when we talk about this, our partnership is with CQF, which are exclusive partner for India. Now what we are doing is all these big BFSI organizations and all, and this is a property which is priced at almost close to 20 lakh rupees in the US and UK market. At India, this property is kind of, we are kind of offering it at around 8.5 lakhs. So, but then this target audience is very specific. Likewise, we have the programs on New York Institute of Finance and others. So what we do and what we really kind of work with organization is, if, for example, you feel that there are certain cohorts that needs to really go to a program, let's say like an INSEAD. So like, for example, last year we sent one of the large BFSI organization, 20 of their leaders to INSEAD France, which was a 5-day campus immersive program. So that's something which is part of the second portfolio, which is an executive education. And third in the executive education portfolio is something that which is called an education network. In this, what we do is, like, for example, if you really look through your employee stance, and when you look through your employees, and a lot of these employees, when they are really looking for their career enhancement and upskilling and all, one is that you don't have an affordability from a learning and development budget to kind of sponsor everyone. But what these people are really looking for is hungry, because they also are feeling stagnated and they want to really grow, which is where we offer an executive education network, which is a microsite which is developed specifically for an organization. So this microsite, for let's say example, a Kotak kind of an example, this microsite will help all these people, all your employees, to serve at a single window all the programs which are offered by IIM and IITs. There's an advisory services which is offered by the organization, and third is a piece which is with respect to specific financial benefit for an employee. So imagine you are a learning and development head, and your employee, irrespective of the fact whether you're sponsoring or not, if they are, by virtue of being an employee of an organization which is of prestige, they get certain specific benefits, which is advisory and so on. So these are three services which are in executive education part. Second is the technology program, like whether we talk about specifically organizations like HCL, Wipro and others. We are an exclusive or the privileged partners for them, preferred partners for them. We do right from a boot camp to all new age technologies. So that's the second portfolio which is there, which is on the technology program. Third is with respect to sales and service business solution, which is again anything right from your frontline brick and mortar store promoter to a person who is heading the sales. So, and similar likewise for a customer experience. So this is the third vertical for us, which is sales and service. Leadership development, we spoke about custom curated MDP, but that's fourth element which is there. Fifth is with respect to the panelists. Before we were really presenting about the digital and content. So we are completely full stack content factory, wherein we are developing content, any level, any new age element that you want to talk about. You want live characters, you want even on the content and even on the leadership series. For example, we do sessions, let's say for leading faculty facilitators. Let's say, for example, we did a session with Harsha Bogle some days back. Likewise, for any of the celebrity speaker you will look at. So digital and the content and the leadership series is the fifth part that we talk about. And the last is a CSS solution. So this is all. I think the time is running short, but yeah, having said that. So this is all which is there. And there's this video that I just want to play.
Learning creates opportunities. Education shapes careers. Skills spur growth. Knowledge enables, empowers and transforms. Welcome to TimesPro, a cutting-edge higher ed tech platform designed to transform people and businesses through learning, training and skilling solutions. TimesPro equips learners with the knowledge, skills, competencies and the confidence to rise in a competitive world. Anchored to the 184-year legacy of the Times of India Group, we are on a mission to help India transform into a knowledge economy.
TimesPro is a higher edtech platform and it is part of the Times of India group. In the past decade, TimesPro has gone from strength to strength. In the enterprise space, TimesPro offers corporate training programs across a wide range of functional and general management domains. TimesPro also works with the government to devise and deliver scaled-up training programs across all our learner demographics. Today, TimesPro is your go-to brand for all training needs, spanning across a wide spectrum of skills in technology, in management, and even in sectoral specializations like banking, supply chain, ITES, and so on. Industry 4.0 refers to the preeminence of technology as a differentiator in this VUCA world that we are in today. I would even go further to say that the integration of emerging technologies like AI, ML, and Web 3.0 are a necessary precondition to the very survival of companies in our knowledge economy. Now, TimesPro has been ahead of the curve in recognizing this mismatch of workspace talent, supply demand, and have worked closely with leading industry and top academic institutions like the IITs and the IIMs to address this gap proactively.
Our array of unique and customized enterprise learning solutions is designed to address organizational challenges by empowering employees to drive business growth and lead with foresight. TimesPro's mission of enabling and empowering individuals extends inwards too, building a rich, vibrant and inclusive work culture.